form of visual aid, also known as a handout. What do rugby, software development, and project management have in common?
Not a thing.
Scrum. Scrum is a term used in rugby. It's the thing that looks like the line, well, no, works like the line, but looks like a very dysfunctional team's hub. That's the scrum in rugby. And it is a term that's been applied to a new method of software project management that started in the 80s and has continued on and is rapidly overtaking the plan it all in advance, waterfall, Gantt chart, sporting methods of yore. And it is a project management that anybody can use on any kind of project. This visual that you're seeing is how Scrum works, and I'm just going to try and walk you through it way too fast. But before I start, I'm going to give you a little story told by one of the co-creators of Scrum. He said he was at a dinner party one night with some people, and one of the guys said, I am going to remodel my entire house, and I'm going to do it in 6 months. Immediately at this dinner party, everybody starts regaling with the facts that anytime you do any kind of construction or remodeling thing, it takes twice as long as you expect. It's a nightmare and it costs twice as much. And he goes, no, I'm going to do it using Scrum. Now apparently he wasn't very close to this guy because he didn't see him again for 2 years. But in 2 years he sees him and he says, hey, how did your remodeling project go? Because he was very interested in the fact that he's using this methodology invented for his remodeling. Went great. 6 months, finished on budget. He's like, wow, that is really good. And so you use Scrum? He goes, yeah, I used it. I made my contractors do it every week. And he goes, wow, you have really good contractors. He goes, oh, the story gets better. My neighbor who lives 5 houses down has the same floor plan, and his house was built the same year mine was built. So it's the same house. And he saw that I got this whole thing done in 6 months. So he hired all the same contractors and to do the same thing to his house. And it took 18 months and cost twice as much. And that was because he didn't actually use Scrum. He just used the same people. So what Scrum is it was developed trying to look at how people actually work and not the way we really kind of want them to work. And so I'm going to go through very quickly kind of the key points of Scrum. First is there are only 3 kinds of people involved in a project when you're using Scrum. There's the product owner, the Scrum master, and the team. The product owner is the person who knows what the project is supposed to accomplish and is passionate about that. He's also the only point of communication between all the people who are stakeholders in the project and the project team itself that's doing the implementing. And he controls the product backlog. What the product backlog is a list of all the things that you would really like for this product to do. So he creates this really long list by getting input from everybody, people who use it, management, executives, they all give him ideas on what they want the product to do, and he creates this, what they call the product backlog. And the product backlog is a list, and it's a list of stories. A story is generally formatted like this. I am a blank, and I want a blank because blank. So, I am a homeowner, and I want my bathroom to be pink because my wife is a girl. Or, I am an FBI agent, and I want to be able to search criminal records quickly because I'm looking for bad guys. And so that would be what each of these things look like. The product owner also creates criteria for done, meaning when this story is implemented and accomplished, how will we know that? What are the criteria for when we can mark this as done? And then the product owner is the person responsible for ordering things in business value order. So in most projects, 80% of the value comes from 20% of the things. So they should be sorted in that way. So that the 20% is the first things listed. And what things that if you had them tomorrow would make the most impact on your business, those need to go to the top of the list as well. Now, in Scrum, one of the core concepts is that we're not planning the entire thing. We're planning a sprint. And a sprint is generally 1 week 2 weeks or 4 weeks long. You decide, and it's always the same length. So let's say that for our project, it's going to be a 2-week sprint. At the beginning of that 2-week sprint, the team, the people who are actually going to implement the thing, look at the product backlog, and they start estimating how long they think each item is going to take. Now, human beings are horrible at estimating things. So instead of trying to estimate by hours or days or weeks, they estimate relative to one another. And in fact, one team uses dog breeds as their estimation. So they have Chihuahuas and Terriers and Beagles and German Shepherds and St. Bernards and Great Danes. And they say, this particular story, is that a Chihuahua or what? And they'll be like, well, it's a St. Bernard. That's a big one. So what about this one? Oh, that's definitely a Terrier. It's a little bigger than small, but it's not really small. And so they'll organize them all like that. And then you can go and put numbers underneath those using the Fibonacci series, which I won't bother to explain, but it works kind of the same way where things are relative. And then after they've got the priority list and they've got how long they think things are going to take, then they create the sprint backlog, which is the things they think they can get done in this sprint. And once that's picked, and it's picked by the team, not by the product owner, not by management, it's the team that says we can get this much done. And they pick those. Once that backlog is picked, the sprint backlog, nothing changes for the duration of the change. Nobody can come in from outside and add things. They can't go and change their requirements. They can't come in and tell the team how to do it. The team has autonomy. They pick the list of things they're going to do, and those are the things they do during this sprint. Now, one other core feature of Scrum is the daily Scrum meeting, which happens every 24 hours, and it takes 15 minutes. You ask 3 questions, and you do it standing up. If it takes more than 15 minutes, you're doing it wrong. 3 questions are, what did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? And what things are getting in your way? Now, the guy who runs this meeting and keeps track of what projects, what particular stories are in progress is called the Scrum Master. One of his jobs is to stop Zabbernism from outside and to remove obstacles to getting things done. He also keeps track of what they call the burn down chart, which is in Scrum. Generally, when you make this sprint backlog, you write each story on a post-it note and you put it on the sprint board. The sprint board has 3 columns. Okay, it has to do, doing, done. That's all it's on. To do, doing, done. You put all at the beginning. You put all those things you're going to do in the to-do column, and as a member of the team says, "I'm going to do this," they take that sticky note and they move it to the doing column. When it gets done, they move it to the done column. And you can actually, using some calculations with the numbers you assign to each item and how long you have left, you can kind of predict how they call it the burn down. So you can get a line of how quickly you're getting things done, whether or not you're going to hit the sprint, your goal. So at the end of this sprint, they have the sprint review meeting, which some of them call demo days, because the idea is you took that list of things and you built something that people can actually look at. Okay? If you're building a house, that list of things, at the end of that sprint, you should be able to walk through the house and see those things done. And anybody can come to this meeting, just like anybody can walk up and look at the sprint board and see what's going on. So if manager's like, I haven't seen anything in 2 days, what's going on? Well, they can walk down and look at the sprint board and see where everything is. And at the end, there's a demo, and all the stakeholders, anybody can come to that, and they can give feedback. And they can say, oh, well, we said we wanted this thing, but now that we look at it, that's not the thing we wanted, or we need it a little different. And so they can look at that, give that feedback to the product owner who owns the product backlog, who can change that backlog, and then the members of the sprint can talk about, at the end, can also talk about things that got in their way, things they learned in this particular sprint, and things they're going to do different in the next one, allowing them to improve the next sprint. And then it just happens over and over and over again. And in some companies, they actually ship things at the end of every sprint, because you're always creating things that are done and ready to be used. So you could, if you have a product like a software project, you could actually ship it every time you came to the end of a sprint. I think most of them kind of do it every few sprints, because you really don't want a new product every 2 weeks. And that is the highest, quickest overview I can give you of Scrum. I would invite you to do some research on that if you have any kind of project you want to manage, including things like contests and that kind of thing, membership campaigns maybe. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.